Ready.
Thank you very much. First, marka hore waxaan idinka mahadcelinayaa maaragtay munaasabadda aad kasoo qayb gasheen. I know that qof walba maaragtay wuxuu leeyahay mashquul weeye, marka isku imaatinkeena waxaan rajeynayaa inuu ahaado mid idinkuna aad ka faa'iidaysateen, annagana wax idinka baranno. Waxaan isku daraynaa Ingiriisi af Soomaali, waxaan soo dhaweynayaa marka ugu horeyso شهادة وكذا قيس ورك مجلس الرجال وحي تخصص بتاعي في special community engagement and she's a big supporter of Somali community. وحي كمان قيس Farsi speaking people from Dementia. وحي كمان قيس South Asians, Afro-Caribbean, so it's part of wide policy to do. waxaa kaloo maaragtay aan rabay inaan maaragtay magacaabo dadka soo abaabulay, especially haweenkeena oo xagga fadhiya oo ah asaaska, they are the base, asaaska of this organization. Eventkan wuxuu ahaa as a follow up event kale la sameeyey oo aan looga helay maanta aan xasuunnay usoo odayaasha hooyooyinka mar baan sameynay, markaan waxaan nidhi let's put together. Ta kale Abubakar also Mohammed Jilani, the pioneers of the organization. Jilani, raise your hand. Jilani, really that's the bilaabo way. They're those who started the work, with the community and have been there all along. And helped so many families, So thank you, Abu Karam. I also want to acknowledge our colleagues from Islington who are here. laba sababood hore waxa weeye laftigooda organization kooda inay maaragtay wax ka bartaan inta since maaragtay community development association ku jira tanjir weeya December waxaan rajeynaynaa waxaa la aasaasay December
25.
2005.
Sorry.
2005 December. So December waxaan rajeynaynaa inaan sameyno xaflad weyn lagu xusaayo tanjirka 20th anniversary si aan u xusuusanno guulihii aan soo gaarnay, challengeski naga hor yimid iyo sida aan horfadnay fursadooyinkaas. Marka munaasabadaas weyn ma jirto. Marka arrintan maanta aan sameynayno waa bilow. Shuhada, she will explain in English, and I think most of us will understand. But if somebody wants more follow-up question, and I do Mohammed Jilani, we can translate your ifrah, your city, everyone is here, so this will be more relaxed. Shuhada, just to summarize it, just welcome and acknowledge the people who have been here for this time, and thanking them for taking this time. So Shuhada, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And Jazakallah khair for having me here today. It's such a pleasure. I've come a few times to the ladies group, but it's just so lovely to see so many men folks here who have come today to really, take it one step further to understand better about our health. So like Hussein said, I'm Shahala Abbas. I tried to figure out what he was saying. I have no idea what he was actually saying. My Somali is very, very weak. It's at 0, but I'm hoping by the end of my interaction with you all, I will be learning a few more words. I am no dementia expert. I work with the Alzheimer's Society. I have been with the organization now in this role for nearly 2 years, but I have been with the organization for a lot longer than 20 years. My journey has been very long, but I've been in and out of this charity and other charities. Like Hussein said, my work is very much with the underserved community, looking at health inequalities, the disparities. So the gap that we have in our community is where when you look at any health, the outcome is really poor. So be it dementia, cancer, or any health condition, our communities tend to be at the last stages of the disease rather than at the beginning. So my work here today is to talk a little bit about what to look out for, signs and symptoms of dementia, what are the risks and how can we reduce the risk, as well as just encouraging healthy lifestyle and explaining to you all what dementia really is about. My ladies here are experts now because I've spoken to them a few times, and last time we were here we had a lovely time. It was very engaging. So, you know, if you've got any questions and you can't wait till the end, I'm happy for you to ask and we can have it as a conversation. I do tend to talk a little bit fast, so if you want me to slow down or repeat myself, I will not take offense. And Hussein is here to do the translation if you do not understand what I'm saying in English. So, thank you again. This isn't a dementia training, this is a dementia awareness, and what I just wanted to explain to you who we are at the Alzheimer's Society. We're a national organisation, so we have services and different things happening across England and Wales and Northern Ireland. We give support to those of who need it. We influence the system, so we work with health and social commissioners, local authority, the NHS, and we also fund research. Just want to bring your attention, 1 in 3 people in this country will go on to have dementia. And what that means is if we look around the room, say on this side, I'll just point out, I'm not saying you have dementia, so you are likely to get dementia, you are likely to get dementia, and then you're likely to get dementia, and you're likely to get dementia. So just looking around the table, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 people already. So it is really high prevalent. Around 1.4 million people by 2040 will be living with dementia. And then around 172,000 of those people are from Black and African communities. And when we talk about Black and African and South Asian communities, that also includes the Somali community. Dementia is the biggest health crisis, and it actually causes a lot of, later on, it causes a lot of, you need a lot of support from health and social care. So usually people always, like I said, go at the crisis, at the last point, where not much can be done for them. Why is diagnosis important? Like I was saying, the numbers are really high, and getting an early diagnosis helps us to prepare for the future better. Also, in our community, because we don't go for diagnosis, it's almost like we don't get dementia. So if I look at the memory clinic in Haringey, there's probably very little people from the Somali community with dementia. Now, I know for a fact, Hussein knows for a fact, there's about 30% of people in North London that are missing diagnosis, are living with dementia but haven't been diagnosed. And when you look at our age and our risk factor, the chances that we are living with dementia could be a lot higher than what it looks like. So that's why the local authority will not invest in funding, will not do much around it. And not only the prevalence, also the fact that we are at the high risk end because of other, I will talk about that later. So it's really important just to understand it, not because we know we've got dementia or we're going to get dementia, but more so that we can understand how we can reduce our risk of getting dementia. So I explained why early diagnosis is important, so you can get the right and accurate treatment, you can understand your condition, your family can support you better, you can plan for the future. There's a lot of legal and financial planning to do. When you lose your mental capacity, you need to be in good charge to put that in place. And in our deen, in Islam, it does say tie your camels. You know, we don't leave things for it to unfold. Of course, we have tawakkul and we have to believe in Allah, but we should also take reasonable actions towards planning for, things going downhill. And also it helps us accessing better resources and services locally. There are lots of things that are in offer, but at the moment they're very little for Somali or African community. They're very much for the general white population. And then reducing stigma. There's a lot of stigma in our community about dementia. We think of it as more of a madness or a mental health problem.
Just to summarize, waxay su'aalo noo sheegto waxa weeye boqolkiiba 30 oo qaba dementia lagama warhayo meeshii ku yimid. Dadka hadda dawada helo ama reerkooda wax la siiyo kulli waa cadaan. marka waxaan leenahay annaga boqolkiiba soddonkaasi halkiisu jiraa waayo haddii adiga diagnosis aan ugu samayn ma helaysid treatmentka xaq u leedahay marka howlo fara badan baan wadnaa aniga su-aalo si aan usoo ugugaabino dadkeenna si ay maaragtay loo ogaado symptomka haddii loo ogaado aniga Soomaali matalan waxaa lagu yidhahdaa markaan la hadlo Soomaali badan waxay yidhahdaan annaga markaan waddanka joognay ya ma qabin waxaan dhibkaan hal nin oo asaasaqay oo da' taas bay la dhihi jiray ma ogtahay laakiin in Soomaaliya life expectancy ya aad u yaraa qofka hadduu 50 gaaro gurigaa lagu hayay sooma ya awoowe hadduu ya laakiin inta markaan nimiday da'dii way sii badanaysaa 70 jir 80 jir 90 jir baa jooga ya marka sidii Soomaaliya oo kale ma anfacayo marka waa in loo raadiyaa ya oo si ay u helaan maaragtay Alzheimer Society waxay kaa caawinaysaa ma aha only qofka dementia qabo laakiin reerka laftigii ya oo wax u qaban lahaa ya waa la kaalmeynayaa
Thank you. Just a quick question so that you're all, I'm not just talking to you. When I say the word dementia, what comes to your mind? What kind of things do you think? Anyone, just throw it out.
Yeah, dementia, then what, how to
Loss of memory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Forgetting things.
No remembrance.
Yeah? Anyone else? What do you think?
It has to do also mental, you know, it's not the focus, everything is mental, it's into mental.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else, anything?
Is it like you're confusing?
Confusion, yeah, absolutely. Would you say that in general, so these are some of the words, especially we hear it in the news, you know, when we talk about numbers and things, would you say our our perception is positive or negative? When we say the word dementia, is it?
Negative.
It's all negative.
It's all negative.
Yeah, it's loss, confusion, memory, yeah? Suffering, oh, someone's childlike, they're reversing back to childhood. Lost, old age, we always think it's old age. Sadly, I found out yesterday, up in North, a 7-year-old girl has been diagnosed with dementia.
Wow.
7 years old. That's very, 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 very rare. Like, it's probably so rare that this is probably the second time I've heard in my lifetime someone as young has been diagnosed. So it doesn't leave anyone out. And usually at that sort of age, it's because you have another medical problem or another condition that has given you as a secondary thing. I'm just going to skip that. Where am I? Okay. Yes. So I really want to just touch on what dementia is. There's 5 messages and 5 things that I really want people to remember. So dementia is not a natural part of aging. And what that means is that just because we are naturally aging, getting older, we're going to get dementia. That's not what it is. It is a disease of the brain. The longer we live, age is a risk factor, like anything else. The longer we live, our bones and other conditions happen. So dementia is more obvious, and more people at the older age get dementia. But dementia can happen to anybody at any age. And there are different types, and there's different kinds of dementia that happen at different ages. So like I said, the 7-year-old girl who's been recently diagnosed, and we have no idea how we're going to support this person. But people usually as young as, especially from ethnically minority community, get diagnosed younger, so like in their 50s or their late 30s and 40s. There are people who are actually living in London with dementia, so it's not so far away. Dementia is actually caused by diseases of the brain. So there are different types of disease that happens to our brain that causes dementia. There are about 100. So Alzheimer's disease is one of them. Vascular dementia is the second highest. Then we have Lewy body, frontal temple, the list goes on and on. And there's different rare, very, very rare type of dementia that people get diagnosed with. So the same way we get kidney, heart, liver disease, our brain is such a big organ, you know, like it does everything for us. That organ also can get disease. This is just an illustration of the light bulb showing where different functions of the brain is actually doing. And then in dementia, what happens when you have disease? Some places it will, oh, it's not lighting up here, but it literally, oh, did it light up?
Yeah.
It will light up, or for some people it will be switched off. So it depends where your disease is. So if you imagine this is your brain and your dementia could be at the front end or it could be at the end bit. So it depends where the disease is. That's what will affect your symptoms. That's what we will see in the outside, like walking, talking. So it depends which part of the brain. And everybody's dementia is very different because we're all, you know, beautiful offspring of Allah's creation. So we will have different characteristics and personalities. This is just what I want to also say. I keep using the word dementia, you know, saying, why is she saying dementia? So dementia in our world is the umbrella word. What dementia means, they're same symptoms and signs of different diseases. So that's why it's called dementia. It's just the overall name given. But the actual thing is you get dementia, but you have a type of dementia, and that's why diagnosis is important. Only a clinician can tell you what type of dementia you have. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah? So like I said, Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia. Vascular dementia is on the rise. Alzheimer's is the highest, and what often happens, people can actually get the two together. So you can get Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementia or other dementia together. So that's two things happening, two different types of disease happening in your brain at the same time. Alzheimer's disease, like I said, was the most common one that people get diagnosed with. But what's happening now, because of vascular conditions, when I say vascular conditions, I mean high blood pressure, heart disease, strokes and things like that, actually puts us at a risk. So those are the people that end up with vascular dementia. Dementia is not just about losing your memory. I know that's the one thing that we all said, forgetfulness. But if you imagine, everything is done by our brain. The way we see things, the way we translate things in our head, so it can affect almost anything. So what that means, memory, language. So some people like me, I came to the UK when I was 5 years old. My mother tongue is Bangladeshi, Sylheti. But I speak English, I think in English because, you know, that's the way I've been. But if I was to get dementia, I will revert back to my mother tongue. So things that I've learned later on in life, I will forget those things. Vision, how we see things, objects. So someone with dementia, to you and me, this is a water bottle, but with someone with dementia, it might not even signify as a water bottle. It could be something else. You know, usually they'll call a cat and horse, a pen, something, a stick. Because it's the way the vision is being, it depends which part of, again, the light bulb is switched off. Slower in thinking, processing, comprehension, understanding something you and I are saying. When we're getting dressed, you know, you and I know what to wear. We know we have to wear our undergarment first, then our upper garment. Someone with dementia might get that mixed up as well. Attention, being focused, sometimes they seem depressed, quite in a different, not quite here. Behavior, changes in your personality, sometimes that actually comes up first. So my mum, beginning of this year, got diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and the first thing that we noticed was her behavior was very unusual. It wasn't like her. She was just very short-tempered. Her personality, she didn't have the filter, so she would just say and respond, and she would be very paranoid, jump to a negative conclusion constantly, or make assumption or make things up, like something that hasn't happened, she will say that's happened. So those things really didn't make sense, and it was like, this isn't my mom. And because I work at the society, I know what dementia is. I had her assessed, and it was that she's actually got dementia. And her behavior is very, she doesn't have the censoring anymore. You know, when we know how we should be in front of people, what we can and cannot say, she doesn't have that at all. She'll just say it without thinking twice. Motor skills, how we walk, how we hold a pen, so eventually people with dementia will struggle to eat with the knife and fork, or even with their hand. The hand coordination gets affected. This is just an illustration of how early dementia can look like. So there's 3 stages in this country. In other countries there are, I think in America there's about 12 stages or something. But here in the UK we have 3 stages of dementia. Memory, first thing, changes in the mood. So, you know, being depressed or low mood, getting lost and confused, difficulty in thinking, problems in communication like speaking or remembering a word. Second stage that we might see in someone who is heavily depressed, not really engaging in things, getting really bad memory problem to the extent they're repeating themselves every 10 minutes, the same thing. Like, oh, have you had tea? Or I haven't had dinner. I haven't eaten today. And then some people also have delusions, so they see things that are not there. So often in our community we think, oh, they could be possessed, there might be an evil spirit, or who are they talking to? There might be an animal or a child that they see, but it probably isn't unseen, it's more delusion. And those delusions are usually not anything negative, like not scary, but to them they can see things that we can't see, but that's just the way the brain is being affected. And paranoia, like I was saying, a lot of the time paranoia being feeling of left out, like someone's talking, like, 2 people could be in that corner, and if they're talking, I might assume that you're talking about me. Those kind of paranoia behavior. Getting very confused about time and place, and again, worsening of speech and language. And this is the later stages where we will see more physical things. Time is a big issue. I don't know if anyone here has ever struggled with being in a different country or timeline, when you just don't know what time is it Zohar, is it Asr, just trying to figure it out. Yeah. So with dementia that can be quite common, especially in the afternoon, getting really confused and very restless. Difficulty, this is a later stage, when people will, and this is a stage we all know, this is a stage we think about, when you don't recognize your family or a loved one, you don't recognize people's face, you need more help in feeding yourself, loss of words and mobility issues, and a lot of the time very aggressive, angry behavior. And I always say this to people, if you suddenly woke up and you are in a different country altogether, and you don't know how you got there, because you just lost that bit of memory, and you've woken up and you're around people that you don't recognize, they don't look like your family or friends, you feel unsafe, how are you going to respond? You're talking, they're not understanding you. You are going to get angry, you're going to get aggressive. And that's exactly what happens when people around you are not understanding you, are not figuring you out, or what you're trying to say. The natural emotion is anger.
marka just haddii aan soo koobno waxa weeye haddii la ogaado